Hey guys, I'm Joshua Christian and I am repping the Hogwarts gear today. And that's because it's one of my favorite schools and we're talking the tips that I would give for student teachers. So here we go. So a little bit about me is that I was a hairstylist for about 10 years. I still am. I still do it on the side. But I went to college for theater arts and I got a minor in education. So I got my teacher certification upon graduating. And my last semester was student teaching. So tip one is always make sure you realize you are a long-term guest in the classroom. So control is going to be given to you and it can be taken on a whim, and just realize that your cooperating teacher is trying to help you. This isn't to be taken personally. This is just them trying to help you out. So when they give you a lesson to teach it. Even if you're not 100% ready, ask them to mock it for you in their planning period or before class starts, so that way you know the key points that you should be hitting on. Because teaching is something that you learn as you do. It's not something that you can really just conjure out of nowhere. It is you being comfortable with about what you're teaching and the subject that you're teaching. And it only happens when you get up and you start teaching. So trust your cooperating teacher, but remember that you are a guest in their classroom. So if they say no to something, or they stop you, or they take over, don't take it personally. They're just trying to make sure that the students are learning as well, because while they are teaching you how to teach, the students still have to learn. So keep in mind that they are that double-edged sword, and they're trying to do everything in their power to make sure that learning happens in the classroom. Tip 2 is arrive early. Now, I arrived super early, like an hour ahead of time. Most of it was because I didn't want to spend time in traffic. I like to chill before I do anything or go into the building. I like to just chill from driving in traffic. But arrive early because everybody knows who you are. They're like, oh, you're so-and-so student teacher, or they're eyeing you because they don't know who you are. But when you show up, you look professional and on time. It does nothing but good to look that way. And luckily for me, when I arrived early, I actually arrived at the same time that the principal did. So not only did she get to know me, but she also knew that I was timely and that sometimes I even arrived before her. So be on time. Now, if you're like me, and tip 3 is going to kind of throw you a little bit. It's different when you're teaching college level kids, when you're practicing giving presentations, but when you finally go into the school setting that you're wanting to be in, whether it be elementary, middle, or high school, it's going to throw you for a loop, because you have to remember that the students are kids. They are not 20, 18 years old. They are probably anywhere from teenagers to children, depending on what age area that you went in. So remember that they are children, that they're going to act out, that they have feelings, that they're not going to sit there quietly all the time. Sometimes you're going to have to redirect their attention. So remember that they are kids. Main priority is that they are kids. They're learning. Sometimes they're going to lash out and they're not going to mean it. So just make sure that everything that comes at you, you remember that you were in that spot too. You were a kid also, and half of the things that you said as a kid, you really didn't mean. So make sure that you realize that students are kids. They want to have fun. They have feelings. They think a breakup is the end of the world. But at the end of the day, they don't mean any harm, and they're only trying to express themselves. Tip 4 is if there's any advanced training that your cooperating teacher goes on a Saturday, go. Because that's going to expand your network to a lot of other teachers that are required to get continuing education for their careers. So always go on these, because you never know who you're going to meet, and it's just going to expand your network for when you're actually looking for a job. So if there's any time that a group of teachers are getting together, whether it be after school or on the weekends, go. Because I can guarantee you it's going to be beneficial for you. Tip 5, and you might not think you need it, but get a bag. A teacher bag. Yes, you've seen them all, and honestly, all the things that they carry are things that you're going to be carrying a lot. Black pens, red pens, expo markers, dry erasers, dry erasers. You know, all of these things that you don't think that you're going to need, you're actually going to need. So get you a bag to keep it all in, okay? The biggest thing for me was extra snacks. You get hungry after school at meetings, so make sure that you have snacks for you to eat when you're in those meetings, because it is tiring sitting there listening to someone talking to you because all you want to go do is take a nap. So those sour Skittles that you eat, they're going to keep you awake. So make sure that you have a teacher bag with everything that you can possibly need. My next tip is to be honest with your cooperating teacher on what you need to do to financially support yourself. My college always told us that we were not allowed to work. It was not recommended to work, and that our main priority was to be there all the time at the school until the teacher left. However, when I told my cooperating teacher that I worked evenings and that I needed to be out at a certain time, she was fully supportive of that. She made sure that I was out on time. If I wanted to stay, I was welcome to stay, but she understood that I had to work so that way I could, 1, feed myself, 2, put gas in my car, 3, graduate without any loans or any financial problems. So always be honest with your cooperating teacher and they'll probably work it out. My next tip comes easy. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Okay? We all have this idea that we have to be really professional and really rigid to control students' behavior, and that's not how it works. The more that you can get to know your students and build a relationship with them, the more that they're actually going to do for you, and the more they're actually going to see you as a teacher and not a student. So even though you are a student teacher all the time, they will still give you the respect that you deserve or do what you ask if you've built a relationship with them. So don't be afraid to talk about your favorite books, your favorite video games, what they do after school. Really start building a relationship with these kids and they will show you respect. So tip 8, maybe, I lost count. However, is don't be afraid to show your weak points. And by that, I mean, if you make a mistake, own it. Okay? I am the worst speller alive. Without spell check, I would be doomed. But when it came to like grading papers and writing responses, sometimes I would spell things wrong. And you would have those smart kids that would tell you that you spelt something wrong. And that's when you just completely own it. And I would always say that I'm sorry that a paper doesn't come with spell check. That's how I do all of my work. So sorry, but they know exactly what I meant. So kind of just own your mistakes and don't let them like make you feel bad or that you feel incompetent in your job. Everyone has their weak points. Some teachers even hate talking in front of students, but they do it anyway. So make sure that you own your mistakes, and it always shows kids that it's okay to have flaws. You kind of just deal with them and you continue on. Another self-explanatory tip is take care of yourself, especially in the beginning, because by the time you run out of energy, you're going to be already in the winter months, normally November, December, late October. That's when it starts getting cold, and then that's when your body really gets tired from getting up early, all the energy that's put into your day. If you're not eating correctly, it's going to show in your health. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you are living a stress-free life as best as you can. Find some things to relieve your stress. For me, it was exercising, eating right, having tea at the end of the night, so that way my energy level was always there. So kind of just make sure that you are taking care of yourself. My next tip is to always be helpful. Okay? There's always something that you can be doing for the teacher, even if they're not asking you to do anything. On the off periods that I had, I was always updating her lesson plans. And this was because I had a teacher who was a little bit older, so everything was still on paper, out of books. So I took everything that she had and updated it to PowerPoint at least, so that way she could start using her smartboard and things that were given to her that she knew how to use, but she just didn't have the time to put the lesson plans together. So by the time it was all said and done and I was ready to graduate, I was able to redo all of her lesson plans from that previous semester and make them electronic for her. So always find a way to help. There's always something to do. And finally is to have fun. Have fun with your students, have fun with what you're doing, have fun with everyone in the school, because the more that you can feel the energy around you and it be positive, the better of a time that you're going to have. And then you're going to give that energy right back to your students who are going to be like, why are you so happy all the time? It's 7 a.m., like, Why are you so happy? It's because you love doing what you do, you love teaching students, and you love seeing them learn. So that is going to excel everything that you're doing in the classroom already, is if you are having fun and you love what you're doing. So I hope this helps you as a student teacher, and I hope y'all guys make it through student teaching perfectly fine. I know it's kind of crazy with COVID right now, but y'all guys will be perfectly fine. And remember that kids always need someone to look up to, and that's why education is such a good career to go into. Have fun.